Oh, what's up? Welcome to a very crowded episode of Inside CKP that I got to take over by forcibly shoving my husband out of the room. I am Marisa Wolf. We are here to talk about the Phoenix Initiative. So excited to have everyone here. So I'm going to mute because my dog just came in breathing really heavily. And we're going to start with some introductions. So we're going to start with a Chris, who's apparently that way, and then make our way through. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Kennedy. You may have heard of me. You may not. Former naval aviator, then elementary school principal, and now science fiction, fantasy, author, editor, publisher, pretty much everything, head of CKP. Mark?
And I'm Mark Wandrey. I'm the co-creator of the Four Horseman Universe with Chris. I've done a couple other series, but none as successful as the Four Horseman Universe. Full-time RVer with my wife, who's actually currently in another state hiding from me, which I don't blame her for doing once in a while. And that's where I am now.
Go ahead, John.
Yep. So we're supposed to be just going in order there. Okay. I'm Jon M. Olsen, cross-genre author as well here. I also do editing for some small presses here locally. And I have a lot of fun with the science fiction and fantasy writing. I like stories that have to do with ordinary people stepping up to do extraordinary things. And so it's wonderful to be a part of another group that does a lot of that same stuff.
Hey everybody, I'm Charli, and I am so thrilled to be here. I've been a longtime fan of the 4HU for 3+ years now, and I have a story with you guys. Oh my god, I'm so thrilled. So thank you for including me, and I am beyond honored to be here. So thank you.
You don't have to thank us. You won it.
I'm Kim Schoeffel. I'm a troublemaker. I'm a big fan of 4HU. I first met Chris at Baines Bar at Dragon Con a few years ago, and then picked up books at Liberty Con. And I'm honored to be part of this book and part of this group and part of this universe now. So thank you very much.
Yay! Shady's neighbor just got struck by lightning, so he might need a second. There we go.
Yeah, no, apparently. And some of my things have gone haywire. Anyway, I'm Dave Shadoin, otherwise known as Shady. I've been working with CKP for a couple years now. This will be my 4th published short. My list is not near as impressive, or my list of accolades is not near as impressive as the boss up there, but I am a helicopter pilot, and, you know, of course, all the fighter pilots need heroes too, so I just got to make sure he knows that I'm here for him.
Got to know your target, though. I'm not a pilot. Bombardier.
Shady, I'll be sure to let my husband know you said that, man.
Oh, tell him multiple times.
Sure. Hey, guys, I'm Melissa Olthoff. I write sci-fi, I write fantasy, and I sneak in romance whenever they'll let me. I am most well known for taking over the Salvage title universe with that guy over there, Nick Steverson. And this is my first Four Horsemen story, so I'm just as excited as Charli.
I'm Jon R. Osborne. I'm a gamer and beer enthusiast turned author, and I'm one of the core authors of the Four Horseman Universe. And I was fortunate enough to have a front row seat on the creation of the universe, so I've seen it from the beginning.
And last but never least, Nick Steverson. Got a couple short stories now in the Four Horseman Universe, mainly writing Salvage title universe. Most recently, the Salvage Treasure series with Melissa, and I'm kind of just hanging out here and ready to can't say that word yet. Ready to have some fun.
Yes, thank you. As a reminder, we will be PG-13 for the next 5 minutes. After that, please hide your children. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nick. That was awesome because I forgot. So look at Nick being a civilizing.
At least he didn't say what he wrote on his first post this morning.
Oh, so I missed
Y'all
it.
don't know how close I came to just leaving that until I got so many messages. I was like, no, that's too funny. I'm just going to leave it and see what happens. But then I got a billion messages and I was like, I probably should change it.
So in 4.5 minutes, we'll come back to you and ask you about that, because I only saw the messages. I didn't see what you actually wrote, and it just gets worse and worse in my head, and I love it. All right, so we are here. I also am supposed to say we're sponsored by Chris Kennedy, but since Chris Kennedy is here, I feel like it's implied. We're sponsored by that guy. He's why we're here. Thank you so much. We like him. You can go to his website, sign up for the mailing list. You get to be an early reader. If you jump fast enough, you get to see the news before anybody else. He also has a Patreon that you can go and make good things happen for the factory boss. He's actually identified as the factory boss today. It's very excited.
I would say it's our website.
Yeah. We are all on it. Many of us are on it, and some of us will be on it very soon, winners. Yes. As you write more things. Awesome. Okay. So specifically tonight, we are here to talk about the Phoenix Initiative, which is the latest and largest 4HU anthology. So we're going to start with, oh, there it is. Look how beautiful it is, y'all. This also, just because I'm unmuted, I can say it. This is my first time on a 4HU cover. I'm very excited about this. So hooray. For anthology, I wrote some books with some cool people, some of whom are on this call, and my name was on those. But anyway, so we're going to start with Chris and Mark to talk about this anthology. What is the point of it? Why did we do it? Why is it so incredibly large and amazing? That's what you said. And yeah, take it away, guys.
Mark, you want to go?
It's large and amazing because Chris doesn't know how to say no.
Well, true.
Well, the whole idea was we realized with the beginning of the Phoenix Initiative, the fourth series in the Four Horseman Universe, not counting anthologies. Fifth.
Well, and not counting the tales and the sagas.
Okay, yeah. So
mainline.
After an undisclosed number of series, we're actually beginning to get near kind of the end game for the whole plan of everything. And things we realize as well, a hell of a lot of people are dead. So we came with bringing them in, and well, Chris realized there's a heck of a lot of stories that can be told there, and I completely agreed. So we did the usual, asked all of our authors who wants to do one, and of course everybody said yes as usual. And we also have a policy of always having at least 4 authors for open slots. So I think by the time Chris got done, it was it 20 stories?
No, it's 17.
17. Okay, close enough. And what about you, Chris?
It was one of those things where we were getting kind of late on getting the stories in, and I said, hey, running kind of thin here, need a little help. And because all of our authors are just flat out awesome, they all went, okay, I'll write a story. Hey, we're going to do a braided one with 3 stories and 4 authors. And hey, we're going to do 2. And all of a sudden I had more than I necessarily wanted. And it went from the normal kind of length of about 130 or so for a lot of the other ones, up to 160, which I think is the biggest Four Horsemen book. It's a beast. I will have some at LibertyCon for those people that are going next week. And all you authors that are there, come see me, because I have your author copy. So there'll be some there. Anyway, we really wanted to do that, and we really wanted to keep in the tradition of always letting new people play. Just about every anthology CKP has ever done has had 4 spots for open submission, something that I believe in strongly. And we have never failed to get great stories from the fans and people that wanted to play in the universe. This time was no different. All the 4 that made it in all had great stories.
Can you, if you were on this, raise your hand if your first story ever published was in a CKP anthology?
I think the number of authors that the 4HU has spawned, meaning their very first short story ever published, was in the 4HU, I think is somewhere around 20 now, maybe 25. So I mean, that's pretty good opportunity, better than you're going to find other places. And a lot of them have gone on to write full-length stories, like Zane Boss, that won, as an open submission. And we said, dang, that's good. Write a full-length one. And he was like, okay. And then his eyes got real big, but he did. And it turned out really well.
And there's that guy, Oz, down there in the bottom row. He's kind of, got to start there too, and
kind of a big deal. Yeah.
But we can let the rest of the folks chime in.
I like that first story situation. So speaking of first story, 4HU, all that good stuff. So Charli, Kim, and Jon, in that order. Why don't you talk about either why 4HU, why this story, or if you want to share a little bit about your story, however you want to do it.
No pressure. Up first. Okay. So my story is about Lydia Price, and she has a problem. She has a bar that she purchased with the death benefits of her husband going out on a contract and never making it back home. And now that the GG stipends have shriveled and there's no money coming in, she can't pay her taxes. And Mr. Jericho decides that he's going to take the deed to her bar unless she can cough up a whole lot of money that she doesn't have. So without any options, she's forced to start a Merc company and go off world and try to get back in the black. And it's kind of a story where it's Lydia versus the contract. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
I'll go next. I've been a fan for a long time, and a few years ago, I won in an auction the ability to name a Merc race that Chris or Mark has used, called the Rake, which use electricity. And going with the Phoenix Initiative, just starting new companies, I made the I Spy consulting company. And into surveillance, reconnaissance, and espionage, and named a training mission, but a training mission for who? So you get people applying, and they're thrown into a team. And there are some twists and turns with the team and with the training mission. And I hope you enjoy it.
Well, looks like I'm up next. I come into this with kind of a history with short stories about mechs. I have a lot of fun with that. I have a series of 4 short stories that the only common thread is the exact same suit of armor is used in all 4 stories. So I've had a lot of fun with that sort of stuff. But one of the cool things about Four Horseman Universe is you have all of this existing world, universe, everything that you can play around in, and as long as you can remain consistent with that, there's still an awful lot of flexibility in there. And so it really is a lot of fun to play in somebody else's universe to write these stories. And so I decided I was going to take it from just a little bit different of an angle on my story. And normally you have very prominent battles and conflict that's very physical. And I had a team that I wanted to write about that wanted to be in the background, just doing the sneaky stuff, get in, do stuff, get back out. Nobody even knows you're there. And well, they have a customer that doesn't tell them exactly what it is they're supposed to be guarding. And of course, things go bad as things do. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to play around in the Four Horseman universe.
That's awesome. All right, so we're going to go Shady, Melissa, Oz, Nick. And Shady, you can also reference, I believe, H.Y. Gregor, also an author whose first 4HU stories in this anthology is in the chat. So if you want to mention our trio of stories, go for it.
Cool. Yeah. So Casey Ezell and H.Y. Gregor wrote a story that centers around kind of almost a mishap of sorts where we've got one character who doesn't really belong on the battlefield and ends up there anyway and befriends and gets taken in by a feral assassin of sorts for all of you cat lovers out there. And their story is really kind of about how this bond kind of naturally forms. And it is HY's first story in the 4HU, which we're all pretty excited about. And their story braids into my story. Casey's here too. Nice. Yeah, but their story ends up braiding into my story, Oceans 2. So they were honey badgered. I've got Oceans 2, which then becomes the crack team that gets hired, new kind of mercenary group with a very explicit purpose. And they try and essentially rescue the asset, or what they think is just an asset. Turns out they're a little bit surprised at what they find. And once they complete their objective, we roll right into Marisa's what was that? Shattered Edge?
Jagged, yeah.
Jagged Edge. There we go.
Stabby.
Jagged Edge story. Yeah. Something stabby. Jagged Edge story, because it turns out my company is not quite competent enough and they need some help. So it was a lot of fun to write, and we had a good time talking about it on multiple occasions, trying to get it done, turning out hopefully a pretty good section of stories for the factory boss up there. And we're excited for you guys all to get a chance to read them.
You don't have to look far for them either, because they're the lead off 3 stories, 1, 2, 3, right at the top of the book.
Just a little stabbing to get you started. You're welcome.
Exactly.
So there I was, minding my own business, a normal Wednesday, Thursday day job kind of day. And then we all see a message from the factory boss. I need more stories. I was not intending to write the story, y'all. I was on the phone with Nick about his battle assault story that he was writing. And then Casey Moores calls me up. We spend 3 hours on the phone trying to work out his assault and all this stuff. And then I'm like, ooh, I've got an idea. I happened to be listening to Dos Gringos the night before. And I had Jeremiah Weed stuck in my head. So I messaged Chris. I'm like, hey, boss, I've got a story that involves Jeremiah Weed, a rubber duck, and a dropship pilot out on her first contract. What do you think? And he told me to write it. So that actually turned into a braided assault story with Casey, because we were trying to figure out what mine would be. And we're like, oh, we need to do this together with the chipmunks from Unshackled running around causing chaos everywhere. And it was just so much fun. We spent about probably 6 hours on the phone just being retarded. It was great. So
The shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
But, yeah. Before Oz goes, we've got so we've got No Shit There I Was, the Melissa story. Then we've got Attacked by a Depic, How I Joined the 4HU, the H.Y. Gregor story.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also have Something Stabby, which is apparently my new brand, which I appreciate. And for those of you who know the song that Melissa is referring to, here is your lead-in.
Not suitable for children, y'all. Okay, just not work safe. Nope. Fighter pilot songs.
Not PG-13. Yeah.
And it's called Duck Me. I have not been able to stop with the duck jokes ever since. I have a problem. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Totally fine. All right, Oz.
All right. Well, surprisingly, this is not a Bjorn's Berserker story, because the premise behind the book is, we wanted to have stories about new units spinning up. But I'm a sucker for a sympathetic antagonist, people who maybe are on the wrong side because of their loyalties or their circumstances. And so this gave me a chance to revisit one of those characters, plus another guy who is just an outright jerk that I liked writing. And we asked the question, can a leopard change their spots? And with all these units spinning up in the Phoenix Initiative, it should be easy to start a new unit. But what if everyone knows that you fought on the wrong side of the last war?
Oh, that needed dramatic sounds. Yeah.
That's the challenge that my sympathetic antagonist and my jerk face in my story redemption arc.
Awesome. All right, Nick.
So unlike these other slackers, I was not a last minute story. When when Chris put it out there, I was like, you know what? I got way too much on my plate this year. No short stories, none. And then about 10 minutes there, God damn it, I had an idea. So I sent the boss an email and I was like, what about this? And he said, that's very dirty dozen. It reminds me of Dan Walker, sort of, kind of. And he was like, yeah, sure, write it. So what mine is, it's a guy named Trey Monterey, and he is an ex-mercenary in prison because, you know, the age-old girlfriend, side dude who's a dirty cop, frame him, you know, we're going to set you up and this old guy's going to die and you're going to go to jail and we're going to go buy boats and stuff. That's what happened, you know? So he's kind of like the opposite of Andy Dufresne. He's like, I'm innocent. Like flat out, I'm innocent. The whole time he's there. Well, Dufresne, you know, he just kind of took his lumps and went on about his way. And well, for 20 years anyway. Well, my guy's not going to last 20 years. So he has the opportunity when Hogan of Hogan Penitentiary says, I'm starting a mercenary company. You can join up. You can earn your freedom after 3 successful missions. Successful. And it's a no-brainer. You know, it's either take a chance, die on the battlefield, or sit in prison and slowly rot to death or get shanked. So he steps out on the battlefield. The trick, the twist is, he's the only one out there who knows what the fuck he's doing. It's just a bunch of guards.
There was Marisa.
Woo! Got it.
Was there a poll? Who won?
I think it's you. I think you won.
I always fucking win. Anyway, you may
Who won now, yo?
the twist is he's the only one who knows what he's doing out there, and he's out there with a bunch of jackass cherries that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. People are dying left and right. It's awesome, and I'm not gonna tell you how it ends, but yeah, it's a fun story. It's straight up action, the whole thing, all the way through. There's no build up. There's no training scenes. It's just in the shit. And I had a lot of fun writing it. It was actually my first time writing a first person point of view story. So I had a lot of fun with that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, shut up.
Everyone's a winner.
Nick, I wrote the story 4 times, and the 4th time was the first person POV.
I mean, some stories be like that. What was the post? Speaking of rewriting things, what'd you fuck up this morning? What happened?
Well, I fuck shit up every day, but the I'm notorious for people in the Peacemaker Cantina and those who I text on a regular basis. No, I'm notorious for really bad fucking typos, and my voice to talk to text thing hates Floridian, and it puts shit out there, whatever it wants. So anyway, my Four Horsemen post this morning was supposed to say ass kicking.
Oh.
It said ass licking.
Oh, yeah.
The hilarious, the funniest part is HP Hollow shared it before the typo got friggin' fixed. And she puts out like spicy shit.
She does.
So
really good spicy shit.
Kind of like flowed with it. And then everybody who messaged me afterward was like, look, I was going for the HP Hollow effect, just trying to mix it up a little bit. My bad.
4HU, now with more ass licking.
4HU, only spicier.
After dark. It's the 4HU After Dark. Amazing. Also, okay, we've got to Nick's point, no short stories. Famous last words. I feel like that might have happened to a lot of people on here. And then, of course, HP Hollow shared it. Like, of course she did.
I think Melissa and I both had sworn off short stories this year, and we each ended up with like friggin' 5 or 6 of them.
We have so many. I'm not sad about it, though. I'm really not.
Spicy.
Speaking of Melissa's first CKP story.
That one has my first short story ever in it.
So good. Oh, nice. So 4HU After Dark sounds like a fantasy panel. Anybody here know the lion? Hold on. There we go. Someone call the lion. Casey also attempts to swear off short stories. I have witnessed this. She fails every year. It's like the only thing she fails at, so it's legit. All right. So Chris and Mark, do you guys want to share what your stories were about?
Sure. So I made the rules, so I had to follow them. Because somebody has to. I mean, Mark is writing, and as a matter of fact, one of the open submissions got booted. Actually, the first two open submissions I read, one was over length, the other one was not in a Word document. They both went poof. So I followed the rules. So I followed the rules, and one of the things was, hey, there's all these alien races on the planet. We need to get them off. So here's 100,000 credits for anybody that'll take them off. And I went, yes, let's get them all. Okay, so we'll take a Flatar, a Tortantula, and I went down the list. There's a Nugar. Yes, that's the cover is mine because we were running behind, and the only story I knew at the time was mine. So I had to put something on there. And I think I got 10 different races in there, including my favorite, the Sumatuzo, because the Sumatuzo are cool. So definitely had to use one of those. And anyone that, has read any of my stuff in the Four Horseman Universe knows that there's been a Peacemaker, a Merc, Gatekeeper. There's all sorts of them, and they're fun. So they all came. They all tried to conquer. It was something beautiful.
Go ahead, Mark. Yeah, it's you.
I end up closing it out. I can't say much because it'll spoil if anybody who hasn't read it. But I wrote something I've never really kind of written before. It's very much, it's almost all written in backstory because we're being introduced to a character. And I thought, when I first thought of the idea, I thought, what if a young person's first introduction to mercenary life is getting the knock on the door to announce that her father had just died fighting as a merc. And then I thought, oh, actually, I know a story that I can do based on that. So I kind of had that idea, put it all together, that this person can eventually start making a mercenary unit. And I figured, since I hadn't heard from Chris if anybody had done anything with the actual initiative run by the government, run by Jim Cartwright, I figured I'd do it that way. So this person comes in to interview for a slot in the Phoenix Initiative. The government was giving grants to 10 mercenary companies to start up. And she was one of them. And she sits down, and each person comes and asks her a story, and it covers a different part of her mercenary life, developing from in cadre to her first missions to all this sort of stuff to the very end of it. And then it kind of summarizes at the end that whether or not she's going to get the money to make a mercenary unit or not. And it all ties in importantly with her father, who's been written about in other stories. But that's all I want to talk about, because I think it's a pretty good story. People will like it, but it's the last one, so people might not have got to it yet.
It's also under word count. Is that your first time in a 4H anthology, Mark?
I think it is.
Well done.
I've ever come in under a word count. Chris used to joke. He says, I treat word counts like a bull treats a red flag. That's not true. I don't gun that way. I just often don't have the end of the story till it comes to me. And sometimes it comes to me at 10,000 words. Sometimes it comes to me at 12,000 words. I've got a horror anthology one I'm writing right now.
It never comes to him in 10,000. It comes to him in 11 or 12 or 13.
13.
As long as he's not Quincy doing, I think he did a 17 or 19. I'm like, dude, come on, man. That's 2 stories.
Yeah,
you're only getting paid for one.
That's a novella.
Yeah. What was that about a horror story, Mark? Is that it's coming in long or short? What you're saying?
I'm already at 9,000. I haven't quite got to the end, so I'm going to go back and take the beginning of it and shorten it up, because I sometimes get too babble exposition at the beginning. So I'm going to kind of move the Overton window a little further more towards the end.
That happens.
Maybe I'll start it all with Captain's Log and just throw all that into the Captain's Log. And there you go.
Yeah, fair.
I've never written a science fiction horror per se. My zombie apocalypse kind of qualifies, but as a matter of fact, this is actually written in that world. So,
well, then nice. That's fun. So I like the point that our bosses just pointed out, that they were the only ones who followed the rules. But I followed the rules. I don't always follow the rules because
I didn't say nobody else did.
okay.
I said I had to.
Okay, that's fair.
I just need to point out that mine was turned in under word count too.
It's that whole lead by example thing, Chris, right?
Good job, Nick. You're right. That's a good job.
Nick was the second one in. Kevin Eichenberry was the first one in like a day after it was announced because he'd been sitting on it. He knew it was coming. And then Nick was second.
Well, I texted Chris and goes, so the deadline is like today, right? And he goes, no, pros have 2 more weeks. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. I would like to point out, I was not on time, but I did follow the rules, but I was not on time because I was supposed to co-write a story with somebody else on this call. And then he dropped me at the last minute. And so I had to come up with something else to do, but
Hey, you and I fell into the Casey trap at that point because
this is what we're gonna do.
I wasn't planning on writing one until the day before the due date.
Yeah.
Well,
great.
you got split off because that was when there weren't enough.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, hey, would you mind doing your own and I'll do one and that way we'll be close to having enough. And about the time that we made that deal, all of a sudden it was like, hey, I'm going to do one. Hey, I'm going to do one. Hey, I've never written in the 4HU, but I'd like to. Hey, you know, it was like.
Remember us trying to fill the first anthology, Chris?
What?
Remember us trying to fill the first anthology?
Yeah. Well, this is the first one I think that we haven't really gone outside of CKP at all. Normally we try and get another author or two, you know, somebody else that hasn't been part of the universe. And this is the first one that Terry Mixon has not been in.
Oh, yeah.
He was in all of them up until this one. There is now only one person that has been in all of them. Raise your hand, person. That would be Mark. Mark's been in all of them. I missed one.
That's why I had to do one for this one. I've been in every single anthology so far.
Yeah. Gotta keep it up, so to speak. So here's why I will always fall into a Casey trap. 1, it's because my writing career is thanks to that. But 2, it's because she will also fall into my trap sometimes. So she swears off short stories every year, but does them every year. And she said it's because I asked her to do them. It's not just me, we'll say, but also we are bad influences on each other. And so I'll take it. Also, everybody say hi to Joy. Hi, Joy.
Hey, Joy.
For folks who are going to be in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area next week at LibertyCon, you should go visit Joy and pick up your very own F-bomb for when Nick Steverson isn't around to drop one for you. Or one of her many other wonderful things. She makes a lot of amazing things, including bags of joy, of which I own like 6. And yeah, everybody reach for the things that she has made for you. I love it. Multiple things. So hi, Joy. We are happy you're here. I don't know how to unshare it, Jeremy.
Patrick, but he's not here.
Fair. Okay, so we talked a little bit, everybody talked a little bit about their story and how we are all wonderful influences on each other. We're very good people. So what brought you, so Jon talked a little bit about what brought him to the 4HU and that he's got these really fun mech stories. And so mechs, which is a great reason to be drawn to the 4HU. What else? What's the thing? Not creators, you're excused from this question, but what's the thing that made you say, this would be fun to write a story about, either because of the universe or your idea or what, or because you were told to, Melissa? It's fine. Go in whatever order you want.
I can go first. So reference the whole Casey and Marisa can't say no to each other. Nobody else can say no to Marisa or girl Casey either. So Marisa, before we really got to be close friends, she was like, hey girl, do you want to write a Depic companion novel? I'm like, sure. Okay. She is impossible to say no to, but the 4HU is so much fun. It's mill sci-fi at its finest. It's got all of the explosions and mechs and battles that you could want, but it's so character driven and has this depth to the characters in the story that it's just, I'm so looking forward to my novel. It's gonna be a lot of fun to write.
And you can say fuck.
I can say fuck, but I want to say duck, which is super ironic because I can't swear in salvage and I can swear in the Four Horseman Universe. And I keep saying duck.
To be fair, you also did curse quite a bit in that story, appropriately for your characters.
I did.
There were plenty of F-bombs.
Well, you know, got to use the duck jokes sparingly.
What else? Charlie, Kim, you've talked about being longtime fans. You can.
Oh, go ahead. It's just like in my author's blurb that I sent to Chris. I'm a voracious reader. I mean, and I sent it to Nick that I've read all 3 of his Hesitation, Action, and Consequences in 3 days. And then I read Heather's most recent Titan Mage book today. So yes, I'm getting to Phoenix Initiative this weekend and it will get done. I read a lot. So I walked up to Chris's table at LibertyCon a number of years ago. He said, what books should I read to get started in the universe? And he gave me about 4 or 5 of them. And it's been that way ever since. And just getting to know all the fantastic authors, not just as authors, but as people. And I mean, I'll say it, I'm honored to be part of this group now, at least for my one little short story, which came in under 8,000 words. And thank you, Marisa, for your help with giving me some advice, and Mark and Joy for their advice over the years. So God bless you all. And
teamwork. Yeah.
You read Consequences in a day?
Yes.
That's a freaking phone book, dude. Holy crap.
I am a
Blew my
fast,
mind.
I'm a fast reader. And to give you an idea, when I was in high school, I could do the 3 books of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return in a weekend.
Holy
2,000 pages.
For a visual cue, the boss has consequence. Look at, yeah, that's a beast. That's good.
That was damn near 130.
This was going to be at LibertyCon next week, but look how it came in the mail.
Oh, hell.
Oh. It's too big. It's too big for USPS.
That's what she and he said. Said that too.
And officially 37 minutes until Nick made a dick joke.
I feel like it happened earlier, but yeah, maybe officially.
But Kim, thank you so much for reading the books, and I'm thrilled that you liked them, man. Really, seriously.
We're going to have a Nick bingo card next time.
Oh, were you guys not playing along with me? I thought
y'all can't let me know though, because I'll sway the odds just to be a dick.
Sounds like it would be a race to blackout.
Yeah, you're right, John. You're right. But you really can't tell him.
That was CKP last call with Nick and I. That was race to blackout.
That was no. I'm not doing that again. Fuck.
That was so much fun to watch. Just so you guys know, that was great.
I have never laughed so hard in my life.
Charlie, you missed. That was. What you saw online was tame. The cantina was stupid.
Ooh, if folks, you're like, what are these people talking about? It's on this channel. You can go find it. There are 3 episodes of CKP Last Call to date. The second one, there it is. So beautiful. The second one is the one that Shady and Nick and Kevin Eikenberry and I were on. Even Kevin Eikenberry got a little tipsy. But it's basically, you put me in charge of anything, I'll bring the alcohol. And shenanigans ensued. I'm glad it was funny for other people, Charlie, because I found it hilarious. Shenanigans.
Jolie came in here and was like, "You are obnoxious." And I'm like, "Go away."
I'm too busy being drunk and having fun. Amazing. All right, Charlie, do you want to talk about what brought you to the 4-H besides this mess?
Yeah, so it's totally my husband's fault. Just, you can thank him or curse him, either way, For my birthday a few years back, he bought me a copy of Cartwright's Cavaliers because he was a part of the 4-HU Mert Guild. That's the fan club for the 4-HU. And I got in on a couple of the calls because COVID and nothing in person, which for us living on the West Coast is actually a really good thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to interact with any of you guys because we live so far away. And so I got to meet a couple of the people in the Mert group that he was in. And he's like, "Hey, honey, if you want to join, you need to read the book." And I hadn't read a book in a very long time because reasons. So I read Cartwright's, and then I had to read Asburan, and then I had to read all the other ones and all the anthologies and get caught up. And then I thought to myself, this is such a fun universe. And when I was younger, I loved writing. but job and kids and responsibilities, right? All those things. It's just, I never had the time to do it. So come the end of 2020 and I find myself unemployed and I have some time on my hands. So I start thinking that I'd like to write something, but I don't really know what I want to write. And then Rob Howell sends this email about the Fantasy contest. So Rob, if you're on the chat, you are my very first rejection and I will never forget you for that. But it started a passion in me to get words down and to write. And it helped me work through some things that I was dealing with. And killing off characters is really cathartic. So readers, if you don't write and you get mad at your authors for killing off characters, there's a reason. Just forgive us, please. And yeah, so anyway, moving forward, submitted other stories to other publications and things didn't work out. So I just kept working and kept editing. And speaking of word count, I think I cut out 7,000 words of my story to get it under word count because I just needed to keep typing and keep writing it until the story got out of my head. And then I realized it was way too long. And there were things that, it's a short story. So there's things that just don't need to be there. And so self-editing, cutting out those things that aren't important for this story. And thankfully, with the practice that I've had, thank you, Casey. I love you so much. So here I am, and here's my story. And I really hope you guys love it. And it's all my husband's fault.
Way to stay after it. Great job.
Seriously.
Thank you. Yeah, I am nothing if not
hopefully you
tenacious.
saved all those stories and you can then turn them into something else and continue to work on them, and don't ever throw away anything because it'll come back around.
Yeah.
I have a whole deleted scenes file for all the stories that I've written because at some point maybe my muse will be like, hey girl, we need to get back to this one. So yeah, never throw anything away. Aw.
Accurate. That's fine. All right, we are somehow getting towards the end. That's crazy. But Jon, I don't want to take away from you. Did you want to add anything besides mechs to Y482?
Well, one of the interesting things that really drew me to it was the people that were already involved in it. I think I met Chris face to face for the first time a year and a half ago at the 20 Books to 50K conference. And I stopped by the booth last year. You weren't able to make it, but I did talk to the other people there, and I asked specifically about anthologies. And so I made sure I was looking at all the right places. And so I found when the announcements came out, and it just sounded like it was going to be a lot of fun to write. But I hadn't realized what a great group of people are involved in putting all of this together and how easy everybody is to work with. And that's one of the things that I was just really impressed with. And being a software engineer, I'm really good at like taking a rule set and owning it. And so when you give that set of rules, like Chris mentioned, I own rule sets. So that's what I do for a living. And so I'm hoping I didn't disappoint you too much with bending things a little bit around that.
As long as it wasn't antimatter, you're probably okay. Anti-gravity, antimatter, we don't like this. Amazing. I'm going to keep talking before Mark jumps in about antimatter. Damn it.
Leave anti-gravity alone. It's the only thing left from the original rules. That's why I'm glad Terry Mixon wasn't in this one, because he can't resist taking a swing at it every time.
But Dr. Wandrey makes so many great appearances in Salvage Title.
Oh, and he hates.
Dr. Wandrey makes appearances in the Four Horseman anthologies too.
The face is great. All right, so we're going to start with Nick and work our way backwards. So Nick down to Kim, Charli down to me. So since we are wrapping up, I mean, we can go a little over, but tell people where to find you on these internet streets, where to find you out in those con streets if you go to con streets. That didn't make sense, but we got this. And just where can people find more of your awesomeness?
Well, you can find me at nicksteverson.com, on Amazon. You can just search up my name. It'll come up. You can, Facebook, Twitter. I have a newsletter. You can find that on my website. And basically anything social media. I'm out there. You can find me in the real world at work. And then you can find me at LibertyCon next weekend. Then I'll be at Infinity Con in July, Imaginarium in July, or June or July. I'll be at Imaginarium, and then Factory Con in October.
Nice. Also, Oz paused because I started drinking and I stopped paying attention. And Casey would like to point out that Shady didn't talk about why he was drawn to the 4HU, nor did I. Although I do feel like, Casey, that was answered earlier, but okay. Well,
I feel like Marisa, you and I answered this question already, discussing the fact that we have a really hard time saying no to Casey Azell.
Correct.
Right?
We did a whole show about it.
Yeah. In fact, if you want to go check out episode 1 of Peer Pressure Made Us Do It on Inside CKP, or episode 2 on Casey Azell's Rider Life channel, you can hear pretty much the whole story. But and I'll let Marisa tell her bit. But yeah, mainly the drawn to 4HU piece for me was Casey peer pressuring me into writing a short for Chris during In the Wings, the anthology. What was that, number 5? Yeah. And that's how I came to be a 4HU author, my first published short story. And honestly, doing the research for that, reading Chris and Mark's first 4 books was an absolute joy while I was sitting in I was doing quarantine for 2 weeks for when I went deployed. And so I got to read those books while I was there and then write the short story while I was there. So it was pretty much immediate interest for me, and it worked out well, and I'm really glad I did it. So
nice.
From the other side, Casey goes, "Hey, I've got this friend, and they wrote a story and it's really good, and you need to take a look at it. How about that?" Okay. First one I was like, okay, Marisa? What is that?
Rude.
I've never heard that name before. Okay, I'll take a look. Melissa, okay, just Casey. Wait, you're Casey. We can't have another Casey. Oh, this is boy Casey. Okay, well, I can do that. And
so it goes. We blame her joy, but we also give her a lot of credit. So I feel like she likes both.
She's done a lot of good for CKP without a doubt.
100%. So for me, the quick version is she wrote this badass story called Gilded Cage. If you haven't read it, go pick up the first 4HU anthology and read it because you want to. That whole anthology is amazing. I like to refer to it as so many novel beginnings. Pun intended. Anyway, so she sent me Gilded Cage. I read it. She's like, "What did you think?" I was like, "Oh man, I loved it. It was so good. Here's what I liked. Here's what I liked. Here's what I liked." She's like, Yeah. Cool. Do you want to write a novel about it with me? And I was like, yes. But then, of course, I had to send in an audition story. So I sent in a story to Chris and Mark. And I think they were like, okay, it's fine. Like, you're fine. But then I met them at MarsCon and told them I had butted by an alligator story. And that's when they were excited to involve me. So kids, go out, get headbutted by animals. You too can write in a cool universe.
That alligator caught air.
It flew, man. It was in the air. It didn't evolve into birds on purpose. Anyway, so I would say the other thing about 4HU, why I continue to force myself into every storyline I can, it feels like a universe. Like a lot of stories like take place in this small corner of something, and like every alien on the planet acts exactly the same, and it just is what it is. But that is not how the 4HU is. Like, every human is different. Every alien is different. The Zool have entirely different cultural planets and subcontinents and whatever. And it feels like a universe. It functions like a universe. And even though we don't have anti-gravity and I forget to account for float, it's okay because it's such a fun universe. So they're stuck with me. And with that, I'm going to stop talking, and Oz is going to tell you where to find him out in the world.
All right. Well, on Amazon, you can find me under Jon R. Osborne. That R is very important because there was another Jon Osborne that got there before me. My website is jonrosborne.com. Facebook, Jon R. Osborne. Instagram, at Jon R. Osborne. And Twitter, at DruidOz, because that was before I started writing.
So I know Oz is also going to be at LibertyCon, right, Oz? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might even leave the bar.
Ooh, fancy. So you can find me at melissaolthoff.net. If it looks familiar, it's because I totally copied Marisa's website because it's awesome. I am on Facebook. I have an author page. I have a regular page. Everything's public. You don't have to be my friend to see my stuff. I am on Amazon. I am on Chris Kennedy's Publishing's awesome websites. And in the real world, I will be at LibertyCon with all these beautiful people, or at least most of them. I will be at Imaginarium with Nick Steverson because we're both up for Best Sci-Fi Novel of the Year. And I've got 2 short stories, one Valkyries from Marisa's new world that we're working on with Bill Webb, and the other one from Fallen World with Chris Woods. So pretty excited about that. Fingers crossed that the scheduling gods work out. With my husband's schedule, I will be at DragonCon and definitely going to be at FactoryCon with my demon children. Apologies in advance, but you know, they're going to run wild. It'll be great.
Wait, which side of the house did I get that demon part from? Yeah, that's what I thought. Speaking of, I didn't mention it because the question was directed at. Yeah, right. I didn't mention it because the Casey called out Marisa and I, but Melissa was also on the peer pressure episodes. So
I refused to call her my grandmama, but she brought boy Casey in, and boy Casey brought me in. So it was a cascade effect.
You're welcome for that.
It's like an author pyramid scheme.
Yes. We are that what are they? Not MMA. That's a whole different thing. Those marketing schemes, whatever. I'm out. It's fine. Carry on.
MLM, multi-level marketing.
Yep. Cool. So you can find me on Facebook, Amazon. You can find me on Twitch at dshady13. You can find me on Instagram as either Shadow or David Shadoin. And Twitter, I believe I'm on Shadow13 or something like that, but you can look up my name and find me there. There's so many, I don't even know. The biggest one though is if you want to find all of those things, you can go to davidshadoin.com. Catch me there. Feel free to hit me up. I'll be at LibertyCon, DragonCon, FactoryCon this year. That's the current going rate plan. And then we'll see what else I make surprise appearances to. Who knows? But yeah, if you see me, stop me, say hi. I'll probably give you a strange look and then realize, remember that I told you to do that, and we'll have a fun time.
Hey, Shady.
Nick doesn't want to hang out anymore.
Girl Casey agrees that she is not my grandmama. Okay, we deployed together, damn it. No grandma.
Writing. It's a
writing grandma.
Bad Shady.
Oh,
fair. I was going to say Nick left and came back so he could move over and try and get another talking.
I'm going to talk some more.
Trying to cut off poor Kim over there.
Oops.
All right, go ahead, Kim.
Well, you can't find me anywhere because I was talking to Marisa about that earlier, about marketing and selling yourself. And I'm on Facebook.
Selling your writing, to be clear, that is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Let's talk to Nick.
Sure.
What are we talking about? What you selling me?
All right.
What do you want to sell?
I will be at LibertyCon. I will be there through the dead dog because I leave on Monday. I will be at DragonCon. I'll get there early and leave late. And the next one after that is going to be Fantasy in the spring. So looking forward to seeing everybody.
Awesome.
All right. So brand new author, but I do know a thing or two about marketing because I've done that in my real life. So I have a brand new author website, charlicox.net. Notice Charlie is spelled without the E. If you put the E in there, I don't know where you're going to end up. So don't go there. charlicox.net. I also have Facebook. I have an author site, Facebook /Charli Cox author. It's public, so you'll see all my writing stuff. I have a personal Facebook page. If you want to friend me on there, go for it. I think I'm friends with most of the people watching the show anyway, but more is always merrier. I have an Instagram. I believe it's Charli Cox 1121. If Jeremy's around, maybe he can verify that for me because I don't have it in front of me. I have a Twitter, but it's not really writing related, so don't worry about that. And you can also find me on Discord. I'm on Casey's server. Casey is L's Writer Life. If you don't know about her Discord server, you should find out about that. Also, I am on the New Mythology Press Discord server, as well as Three Ravens. And Nick and Melissa have a Discord server as well that I happen to hang out at because they're a whole hell of a lot of fun. So find me on the interwebs. As far as in real life, I'm not going to any cons this year because I suck, as Nick has told me previously. But hopefully we will change that next year. I see Liberty Cons coming up this week, and when those tickets go on sale, I'm going to be all about it. So I look forward to meeting you guys in person sometime very soon.
Ignore Nick. He's always wrong.
Well, I end up usually sticking fairly close to Utah for the events that I go to. I may have to change that policy because all these other events are just sounding way too fun. Also, Hillbilly submitted one of my books to the Imaginarium contest, and so I have a finalist in that as well. So
congratulations.
That's going to be a lot of fun, but, well, I'm not going to be able to be there. So, well, that kind of limits the fun. If you look for me on Amazon or Facebook, the M right there is also very important because there's like a gazillion John Olsens out there. You put in the M and web searches and things work a lot better. You can also find me at my blog.
The M is for magic.
My blog is johnmolson.blogspot.com. I'm having a hard time finding a nice domain as an author just because of, well, the common name. It causes issues when you try to come up with something. So I may end up needing to get a web address that's something besides my name. So that is where and how you can find me. Probably one of the bigger events here in Utah that I will be at this year is FanX. It's a lot of fun, 100,000 people in a convention center. So yeah, we'll be there doing a lot of stuff with books.
Another Utah author. I think most of you guys are from Utah. What is that all about?
So how many other Utah authors here?
Oh, and like half of the Bane authors are Utah authors.
Oh yeah, that's a
you're a good company.
Guys. Because when there's not winter, they can't just go ski to bide their time. They have to write. That's all they have left.
Hiking, writing, skiing. That's what you got. You're welcome.
Well, I've got pictures of the multi-foot snow in my front yard from this year because we had a lot of snow this year.
Yeah, Larry Career was talking about that. So, well, you can find me on Facebook. Luckily, I don't have the same problem that John and Oz have. My name is not common. So the only other Wandrey you're going to find is a guy who wrote like biochemistry stuff in Germany, and that's really not me. You can find me on, I do twit once in a while, but I honestly don't remember what my handle even is. I haven't been on there so long, but I am under Mark Wandrey also on Instagram. And if you're feeling generous and like to throw money around, you can find me on Patreon under Mark H. Wandrey. And I'll be at LibertyCon, and then I'll be at FactoryCon. That's really all I have planned this year. So probably after that would be Fantasy next, LibertyCon and FactoryCon and Fantasy, in the spring.
So you can find me, ChrisKennedyPublishing.com. There is one other Chris Kennedy who was from that other family. Our family tends to live longer, maybe not get as much PR. It took me a long time to where I could get to where my name came up before him, but it's starting to now. So hooray. Find me at ChrisKennedyPublishing.com. Join the mailing list. That way you can find out about opportunities for when you can write a story and get picked up too. Also, if you haven't joined us at CKP, the Factory Floor on Facebook, please do. And especially for this group here, 4HU, the Merc Guild. Come join us and meet all the authors. You can ask questions and they'll answer. And usually, unless it's Nick, they won't swear.
We do.
Yeah, only Nick swears. The rest of us are very kind and professional at all times. Yes, Jeremy, thank you. I know. B2 dubs, guys. A round of applause, especially for some of the folks who this is their first anthology. But best-selling new release all day. all day. Number one.
How about all those 3 new authors coming right in? Bam!
Coming in hot, orange tag winners.
Now, many other publishers can give an orange tag to a first-time author.
I mean, that's pretty fabulous.
And it's actually only going up. It's the ratings have been going up all day. So we had the next closest one beat by thousands of ratings. So it's really good.
That's so great. And for you authors, first-time authors, so Jamie Ibsen does these Team and More patches. I have one. You can also get it in orange for when your Team and More becomes a bestseller. So just BT dubs. You get to start that way, which is pretty cool. Go for it too. So I am Marisa Wolf. You can find me at marisawolf.com or marisawolf.net. I go both ways. You can also find me on Instagram. It's there on my name, at BookDogs. You will find pictures of my books and of my dogs. Mostly my dogs, I'm not going to lie to you. Like Mark and his lovely wife, Joy, my husband and I are full-time RVers, so you'll also get lots of pictures of wherever randomly we are in the country. Super fun. We just follow people. It's fine. And I will be at LibertyCon next week. Wow, Jeremy. Wow. My husband is the producer, and he is done with me talking, clearly, but too bad. Actually, that's not true. He can mute me, so I have to pay attention. You can find me at LibertyCon. I will likely be in the bar or talking about some of my favorite books at panels. I will be at the bar because Shady is on the hook to buy me drinks all weekend. So it's going to be great. Yeah, I just don't want him to forget it. It's canon on the internet. So
we will not be forgetting. Yeah. And there will be several of us at the bar. And I heard there's a rumor for a last call too.
I heard, yes. So the other thing is keep an eye. We don't know when, but keep an eye on this channel, or better yet, go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you'll get a push notification. Because at some point at LibertyCon, I'm going to gather up as many people as I can, and we're going to do last call live at Liberty, probably in a hallway, obnoxiously. And I'm very excited
have to be
about
at a party or in a bar. It's the only 2 places that are eligible.
Yeah, could be anywhere. Drinks can be had anywhere. It's LibertyCon. So stay tuned. Sometime next weekend, you can get a glimpse at some of this, slightly even less filtered. Somehow.
I'm so excited to get Nick sloshed for a second time.
So look out for that. I will also be at DragonCon this year. My goal is to eventually get onto all of the tracks. So I'm going to keep working on that domination. And that's all. FactoryCon and the internets. I'm here on these internet streets. Come find me. Come hang out. I got books. You can read them. I like that. And now Jeremy wants me to talk about things. So now put things on the screen. Husband. Yes. Look at this. Also on this amazing channel, you can catch the Future Books podcast with one of my favorite people in the world, Randy Willis. He will interview different authors every month and talk about what's coming up. I forget what this month is because I cannot retain information. Chris has got it.
Nick Plume.
Who we are also talking to, you guys, next week. Jeremy will interview her. It will make slightly more sense than my brand of insanity, which you can catch again Tuesday when I interview Trisha Woldridge, who also has a book coming out from CKP. So
Tuesday and Friday next week.
That's right. It's a big week for CKP. Tuesday, Friday launches, Tuesday, Wednesday, Inside CKP episodes, live at LibertyCon at some point, and shenanigans. So we've got all your book needs, all your internet entertainment needs. We are here to help you. Nick will swear at you, whatever you need. If that's your thing, we apparently sell ourselves here, according to Kim. So Nick will sell a swear or two.
Y'all want to hear the word fuck? Come see me. Okay.
Yes. Note, he did say word, so you hear the word. Okay, just clarifying. As Casey mentioned earlier in the chat, we are not prostitutes. We are a pyramid scheme. So,
they're not mutually exclusive.
Okay,
you
so
can
Shady's,
be a pyramid prostitute.
Shady's on OnlyFans can be found if you
squares,
search for
triangles. Triangles are cooler than squares, and circles are shady as fuck. I'm just saying.
His OnlyFans is called Shady as Fuck. Shady as Fuck is in fact his OnlyFans. So good luck with that one. Casey also would like to remind us that you guys have to refer to yourself as best-selling authors. There will be no follow-up questions. Thank you so much. All right. So if there are no other questions, we've got the famous Nick Plume up in here. What up? So we love her. Jeremy is really trying to coat hanger me off. hook me off of this, you know, it's fine.
I think that's something else.
I think he's just
Cane.
complicating the
Details.
You went down the wrong
Big
road
Gong
there.
Show reference there.
It's a cane, Marisa.
different After Dark episode. Put that back on the screen, Jeremy. There we go.
Roar.
Other things you can check out on this channel include Feral Ladies. As you can tell, I am not civilized, and neither are my dear friends, Melissa and Casey. Last week, we talked to the fabulous H.Y. Gregor, who just had a book come out. Stone Whisper, you should check it out. She also had 2 anthologies come out this week. So, best-selling author, H.Y. Gregor, rocking it in her first week as a published author. Nobody's prompted me to say anything else. So I'm going to say we should probably get me off screen before I say more dumb things. But find all these authors, read all their books. God knows I do, and they're amazing. So excited to have Kim and Charli and Jon in this crew of insanity. Hope you enjoy the Phoenix Initiative. Let us know what you think. And especially if you love it, go ahead and give it a 5-star review on the Amazons. Go ahead and thumbs up this because you're here. So you made it this far. You might as well thumbs it up. Subscribe to the channel, join the mailing list, hang out with us. Enjoy. Have a good night, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Adios, amigo.